You don't look clean. I had the thought, right? Like, what would happen if I tried to purchase a home in Mexico? What would happen if I tried to purchase a home in Asia? What would happen if I tried to purchase a home in Africa? What do y'all think would happen? I seen something that was so disrespectful. You know, when it comes down to races, races, not the other. I'm talking about nationality. There's certain things that some can do and some can't. I seen a sign that said F ICE. Now, this leader of a Native American Indian tribe, somewhere else, I believe, came to retrieve his people. My thought is, why are they there? If they're homeless, they got a place. Why are they there? And it's like these are small things, right? These are small things that people are not noticing. Like growing up in California, I knew, okay, that you just don't be blatantly disrespectful to peace officers. You know what I'm talking about? Because I don't want to know. I don't want it on my. That's why I do that. I don't want to open it up and see a whole bunch of that stuff. You just don't do oopid stuff. But some feel like they can. In a peaceful test, put a pro in front of it. Why would you put derogatory statements on boxes and make like, why would you do that? To what point are you proven? And then conveniently you add your take on history and why sassafras you know is this way and sassafras is that way. And and and, and the rebuttal is, you did it to your own people. This is a fact. Like, that is always the rebuttal. It was done so good that almost everyone in America that is of hue don't even realize that they are Native American Indian. Wow! 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 Whoa! Wow! Even the Anglo-Saxons saying, I had no idea. Because it's been placed in our minds that we are African American. Put the African in front of it. That's a oxymoron. African American. What? How is that even a thing? When I said that I was Native American Indian Choctaw, everybody gasped. She's saying that she's not African. Yep, I'm saying that because I got it straight from the horse's mouth. And it came in the most controversial way, some would say, because I wanted to be exact on an application. You know how they say, mark your ethnicity? And I happened to be doing that in front of my grandmother. I said, yeah, Grandma, I talked about this. So this is the perfect time. We're talking about race and relation to address it, because some will say, she's not, what is that? We don't even know. We know of everything else, but exactly. You know why? You don't know that Choctaw is a thing? Basically, that's why. It's, wow. Imagine that. You know, it's selective outrage. So I'm sitting here trying to formulate a plan on how to present solutions. And I see this and I'm just like, the main point is, why be disrespectful when you try to plead your case? Why, when you know everything that's happening in that region, you decide that you're going to go down there? I'm going to go down there. I am an American citizen. I don't look like I'm one, but I'm going to go down there and speak my piece. That is not the place to speak your piece. You know how many people were sitting there saying, why are they there? How many people that will be affected by what those that are there, blatantly disrespectful to the wrong individuals, will be. You know how many immigrants is against what's happening there? People going over there? Like, why are you making it bad for me over here? There are Hispanic Americans. That means they were born here. That is the key. And I feel like a lot of individuals are not taking that into account. It's meaningful to me because this is my home. And I cannot just pick up and decide to move to any of these places, including a reservation camp. Imagine that. That's the point. I don't have whatever it is because I'm not seen as one of them. Do y'all understand? I know I'm Native American, Indian, Choctaw, but I'm not seen as one of them. So this is what I'm saying about selective outrage. When you put yourself in the camera like that and you say, I am this leader and we have the chairman and the mayor here, and we're saying that you're not welcome on after they gave it to you, you got it. Then you got a big old sign in the back saying F ICE. Like, you came all the way over here in our region. Like, imagine that. And then I move down and I see them snatching somebody out of the car. She's screaming and yelling and screaming. Yeah, it's messed up, but why are you there? What do you think you're going to accomplish going there and trying to block them from doing their job? That is open. I seen some other stuff there. where they say sassafras are going to be monitoring your cell phone conversations. Duh. Do you know where this whole system started? Like, why y'all acting like y'all don't know where this whole cell phone system started, including the WWW? So the point is, do you know that they have attempted to confiscate towers? Like, y'all are not informed. Everybody's sitting here wondering why the network is shaky and this and that. And you don't know it's a whole thing going on, a whole big old thing going over here. They're not hiding it from the people. It's what you choose to focus on. Matter of fact, it's things in place so it will be announced to the people. But it's what you choose to focus on. Seemingly, people only address things when it affects them some kind of way. When I went on the march, it was because of something similar happening. In San Francisco. This was in my 20s. There was a 501c3 that came and says, come support Hispanic Americans. And I said, okay. We went down there at City Hall, jumping over stuff and throwing bottles and, we weren't doing that. It was a peaceful march. We marched there. Like, I don't get it. It's like most people are not saying, well, why is this happening? They're just outraged by it happening and hoping that it don't happen to them. And they're going to present the worst case scenario to make people remember something that ain't even a part of their timeline. Their era, even. This is why I have the stance that I have when it comes down to my platform. I feel like individuals should hear different perspectives, not what they're used to. It's a whole group that is paying content creators to sensationalize other content creators. They're paying for this. Open up the live. I just dropped that like it's hot. So I seen one thing, right, y'all. And the young lady say, one of her children, I believe was one of her children, came to the room, a little one, and said, Sassafras wants to talk to you or something. Sassafras comes to the door and she said, well, what do you want? And he said, I want your F card, your F stamp card. Now, this is somebody that's trending. I don't bit much know who she is. But when you're sitting on Lambos and you got TV series and all of this stuff and you're making music with celebrities, you mean to tell me you got a F stamp card? Everybody said in the comments, not everybody, but the ones that's following the story the right way said, you be flossing too much to have a F stamp card. Perfect example of misuse. And people say, well, that's why I got the hands like that, y'all. That's why I got the hands like that. And she said something to the effect of, sassafras is a aider. Watch they call it in or something like that. Yeah, yeah. Like if you are someone with half a common sense, you would mute the microphone anytime someone rings the doorbell, knocks on the door, starts talking anyway. But that was a busted it out of it moment. And she knew it. Look, she even said, I don't pass gas. I do not do that in front of my dude. I send him off to the store. I send him off to the store when I got to do the number two. Because I am a lady. This, I'm American. This, imagine other groups, other places watching this stuff. It's like, it's goo gobs of it. Like, it's goo gobs here, it's goo gobs there. We look like we are dumber than a box of rocks. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we providing to humanity? So other groups come over and say, well, hey, a stunner girl gets F stamp. Well, whoever, what's her name? Maybe it wasn't my bad. It might not be it's somebody else. She getting some F stamps too. Look. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you. There is no sneakiness anymore. It's like it's no sneakiness. Like, people is blatant, with their disrespect to people that they shouldn't be disrespecting, while wanting to maintain in their system, and it's disrespect to the system, being an American citizen and taking advantage, all while flossing in front of people that needs them food S's. That SNAP. You know what I'm talking about? I told y'all that people be flossing, and you sitting up there you sitting up there like 10s and 20s, 50s and 40s, and you like, I'm trying to make it add up so it can make sense. Look, no, what was the shocker? After she got busted out about the SNAP benefits, right? She said, look at my brand new washer dryer combo. What? I didn't even know they make those. How much does that cost? She does not have to pay for food. Whose card is that on? You can call me a hater, because more than likely it's going to trickle down to my level. And the ones that need it ain't gonna be able to get it. Now, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but if you a whole musician and you on networks and stuff, why do you have a SNAP benefits card? I told you I was gonna go there. I don't know why y'all think I'm not. Because somebody gonna say, she poor, she broke, she living in her car. And then they gonna go and swipe somebody else's card. Y'all know what I'm talking about? They say, well, you should do the same thing. No, I should not. Because that's what they try to do to you. Well, you need to do it too. That's a form of, when I'm going down, I'm gonna grab your hand. Because look what you can get. I got this brand new washer dryer combo. You can have one too. This is what it's like here in America. What's going over there in Canada? What's going on over there? Y'all remember the whole big old thing, right? When they said, Mr. T, you know, the big guy, the big one, the Anglo-Saxon one. They said, if he becomes the big P, I'm moving to Canada. They done been deported out of there. Extradited, whatever. Ha ha! What? They had to leave. They had to leave Canada. Some never went because they was just talking about it. They didn't really mean it. You know what I'm saying? The stats is going to come in. And what I have to say about what they're doing in Utah, because a lot of y'all know that I was talking about what was taking place in Utah in the last live, right? The one with the hands. They are trying to show that something is working because somebody wants some money. And once everybody come to Cali, they're going to say, look, it works. And they over there saying, look, you got to go because everybody that is homeless is going to be in California. I see it. They're saying that you got to go because the new homeless capital is California. You understand what I'm talking about? So they can say it works. This is race relation 2.0. Is it controversial? No. I done seen some controversial stuff. I said I would not title none of my videos that way. You know what that's a sign? My views is low. That's giving every bit of my views is low, and I got to do something to shake it up. And then all of a sudden, you're somewhere, and you're wondering why people are looking at you funny. Someone needed proof, amen? That all you got to do is blink, and the big G will move you, where you can see that it's real. This was a day of lives, y'all. I say that because I talked a lot about what I seen on my timeline. It changed significantly. Every time, for me, every time I close this app and I get back on it, this application here, it changes 90% of the time. I don't see the content of the individuals that I am subscribed to 90% of the time. Well, what are you saying? The big G, not the little one, universal life force source, God himself, the supreme, the most high, the creator, shapes and molds what I see. because some things I'm supposed to address. Now, I want to talk about solutions. Some people didn't even know that they have funds allocated to people for the purpose of paying their mortgage. If they, you know, I'm saying a scenario because that's the only way it will work. If you get sick, if you're off for about a week or two, I think it's up to 1,500 in Cali. But the variable there is that you have to not be sick the next month. Because the way it's worded means that they cannot help you if you can't cover the next month. So imagine all of the money that goes back into the system because nobody qualifies. Imagine that. And it's all because of wording. There's some people that purposely look for stuff like that. Holes in the system so they could revamp something. I imagine it takes a lot for them to decide that something is not working. Because I know in Utah they had a like a plan before they did all of this. And I'm willing to bet that it was the way something was worded why people did not benefit from it. And so now they're doing a different style. And they said that that will probably be used by millennials, that style. Some say not me, because I'm not going on nothing like that. You don't know what the big G, not the little one being Jesus, has in store for you. Because, we all have life lessons to learn. All of us. The reality hit me that even if I paid off a home, I would still have to continue to pay something in my elder age. And so it's kind of like I said to myself, right? The best someone could hope for is to croak when their mortgage is paid and when their rent is paid. Amen? Because that means you don't have to go through all of the negative energy that is associated with homelessness. Now, some would say, I am not the average homeless person. Because I got to put that out there. Because someone to say, oh, she said, let me tell you, the ones that own homes talk about the ones that are continuing to pay for their home. The ones that are continuing to pay for their home talk about the ones that receive assistance to get a home. The ones that receive assistance to get a home talk about the ones in the system on those 8 sections. The ones on the 8 sections talk about the ones in the projects. And the ones in the projects talk about the people that are on the street. That's it right there. But nobody talks about solutions. All right, you're downplaying what I got. No, we're not going to talk about in between the homeowners and the ones that are actively paying on their home by the means of mortgage. Talks about the people that live in apartments, because why you don't just buy a home? It's the same. You're paying the same. So everybody talks about the person under them. The ones in homes get talked about by the ones in mansions. Yeah, where's the cap? Where's the cap there? I should have thumbs up for that. I am the oddball in the situation. You should be happy that I'm able to voice my original opinion, non-guided, not influenced by someone's payment. Y'all should be happy that content creators like me exist, because I'm not trying to shape anyone's narrative. I want my platform to be a platform of solutions. What's wrong with that? Some could say that it is touchy because I told the truth. I'm a truth teller, not a whistleblower. So some, because I gotta say that, y'all. Y'all know I gotta say that, right? Some are upset by my truth and the way that I tell it, because it's not a gifted truth. Look, I'm gonna give you $150, $200, $300, and you paint this narrative for me here, and then we're gonna trend type ish. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not gonna touch that. I'm not gonna touch that. That is too important. Equal rights. I'd rather talk about the black girl that has all the illegitimate babies by different dudes. I'd rather talk about that topic. Because that's not controversial. Pass me that spliff. Type. You know what I'm talking about? I don't smoke. Toke. You know what I'm talking about? It would be a good thing if I just turned on the camera so they can say, oh, she's old. She's ugly. Look at her locks. I don't wear locks. I wear wigs. I don't even wear weaves. She mad because I'm on the gram and I'm popping with my sugar and spice. I ruffle a lot of feathers, y'all. When I touched six figures, right? Because some of y'all ain't touched it, but you're saying you did. When I touched six figures, right? I still was me. I didn't say, let me go to Fendi, Gucci. Imagine going into Fendi and Gucci and realizing you didn't make enough money that month to even buy a belt. That's got to do something to your ego. I'm the person that said I wouldn't even buy a dupe of Fendi. Because why? It's so much nice stuff out there that's created with quality from, from some known names and some not known. But have y'all ever just really looked at some of the stuff and said, but why though? Because I have. I'm American. I'm subscribed to all kind of channels, all kinds. But the red flag for me is you don't see much of the real controversial stuff until it's election time. Look at this. See? This is why. I said some people don't realize that what was done on the book is going to be done here because all of those titles for eyes, you're getting eyes. You definitely getting them. Somebody presented some content about someone's response to what they did to Takati Tick. The whole green screen stuff, right? It sliced and diced a lot of people's income. And I already knew that about a year ago. That's not the only platform that is happening on. And so when it comes time for the audit, because those happen, yep, they find out a lot of information when it's the audit time. What happened to that channel? Well, that channel had 6 other channels, and it was full of spam and soliciting and sensational content, and the channel was a problem. That channel changed its name 30 times. That channel was half of YouTube at one point. That channel was Sassafras, 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 Sassafras. And when Sassafras left a comment, everybody thought it was that person. That's what happened to that channel. Oh. I said when Sassafras would leave a comment under another content creator's channel name, everyone thought it was that person. I'm talking about that timeline when I was posting, when I was popping. Y'all remember that? Don't act like you don't. When I was talking about, that's not me. That's my profile picture, but that's not me. Turns out they do that everywhere, y'all. They don't just do it with your channel name, by the way. But if you would like to know where else they do it in regards to your life, reach out to me at oracleoftheether@gmail.com and book with me today, because I got to do that. I'm a businesswoman. Join the membership. I am for what makes sense. And I understand when people do oopus stuff in a different tax bracket, it hurts me. That's what I'm voting for. I'm like the average voter. What is going to benefit me now and in the future? Makes sense, right? I'm not going to the poll emotional. I'm not going and saying, well, it's time for this. America needs this now. I'm about to really get into it. I'm gonna be Googling codes. What does this mean? I'm a grab that LAW dictionary. Nah, we got to dissect this. Wait a minute. I got to know what I'm voting for, because it's important. Look, I told you I done been in the conscious community, and I already know that their stance is be oopit. That's their stance. Because you sitting here saying, what happened? Everybody that made a decision about your life, that's what happened. They done told you to not vote. Your vote don't count. That's what they said. If not the major one, the one in your community does. They didn't say that. Nobody said, well, which one did I vote for? Because apparently we all need a leader within leadership. You know what I'm talking about? Can you live with that person? That person that said to not vote? Like, when you hungry, you know, you gonna scoot in between him and his baby mama, the third one, because that's who he with right now. And we don't talk about the dudes that have multiple children that ain't ever been married. We just talk about the females, the women. Because I'm willing to bet that the statistics that states children are more successful when they have a two-parent household. I'm willing to bet that at least 20% of those married men have outside children. How much y'all want to? How much? How much y'all want to bet? Let's do that statistics. You know what I'm saying? It got to be somebody that come through and just blow it up with the truth. Anybody got that? Anybody got that type of time? Because that you need a nerve for those stats. You know what I'm talking about? I'm being straight lace 100 proof. You know what I'm talking about? You know, one thing I know about Mary J is that take an awful long time to get out of your system. Because somebody believes that they can get a professional driver's license to replace their social media income, which is a good thought, but you got to be squeaky clean for that. Because nobody wants their little child being driven by someone that is intoxicated. Do you know that you can for sure get a DUI with Mary J? A lot of people don't realize that. It's important because I told you I had to take 5 of them to get mine. So of course, 5 of them. They wanted to make sure I did not have nothing in my system. Curse. Because apparently a lot of different energies that are now phased out did not want me to be successful. Imagine that. And a lot of y'all are undergoing the same thing. It is time for progress. And no matter who is in the office, their priority is the people. Y'all have to understand that. If you're not stepping up, they don't know you're there. So you cannot get mad about what you are seeing. Imagine somebody being at a test, put a pro in front of it, that's not even a voter. What's the statistics on that? You know what I'm talking about? How much of this stuff do y'all think is done to deter us from making right decisions? Because I can admit, I was in the conscious community for about a year before I realized that that was not the place for me to be. with my African dashiki from China. Y'all know they real close, right? You know, it's a good stepping stone. But when it comes down to reality, living, it's not. It's a hindrance. Being a part of the conscious community does not mean you went through ascension. Does not mean you are awakened being. It means that you stepped off into a gate, and depending on what you choose to focus on determines your pathway. Because not many of us had any pushback about our beliefs. Mine came from the conscious community. When I seen certain things, I was like, what? And let me say, the first time I ever met anyone that had what I feel is a different belief when it comes down to Jesus was even before I got into the conscious community. I was in my natural hair phase when I met someone that spoke to me about her beliefs about Jesus. She was like an introduction to the conscious community because before then I never knew. You know, in my mind, everybody that was Christian was Baptist or Pentecostal. I knew of Christianity. I knew of Buddhism, Buddhist. I knew that it was other beliefs within those, Hinduism, all of that. But I didn't know that it was over 250. So this is the things that happen when you enter into a conscious gate. Your mind expands, you get introduced to new things, and it's supposed to be thought-provoking. It's supposed to make you want to know more about who you are, the truth of the matter. You know, that whole the white man narrative is played out. I mean, you know, I felt like it was played out in 2014 because those were the only people giving me jobs at that point. White men. When I would go in front of a white woman, I was always denied something. Always. When I went in front of black men, I was hired. When I went in front of white men, I was hired. When I went to school to become a beautician, I was instructed by an Asian woman in the middle of a black community. So to me, it was played out. But because of my grandparent belief, it was instilled in me as a thing because that was her reality. I experienced systemic, yes, I have. But I told you where it came from. You know, this is the truth. I am an American. So I'm giving you my American truth. You know, I had all of these high hopes about how I was going to change the world. I was going to create my own nonprofit. I was going to do this. I was going to have my own a woman's shelter system. I was going to have all of these programs for these children. I had a big old college book of resources in my 20s because I had a goal to do just that. But life happened. And because life happened, that means I had to pay the bills. If it was not for a black man and a white man, I wouldn't have got two of my very first jobs. When I went through the system, they had a program. It was a part of uh, the welfare to work or something. And in this program, I talked about this before. In this program, you could take this shortcut course in the financial district, and you pass this course, you go into an attorney, you go in and you become an assistant, kind of like. They teach you the ropes there. You'll be working in a law firm. You take this is the type of stuff that they had that I benefited from at one point. But when it came down to, we got there, and the lady, they always give these thought-provoking speeches. And they always start off because, you're 20, you're 19, you know, they're in their 30s, late 20s, and they already know, hey, look, this is what they get paid for. They say by the time this course is over, I think it was like 9 weeks or something, 6 weeks or something, only half of the people in here is going to be candidates for this position. Don't you know, I got to the last week, and this Anglo-Saxon woman pulls me in the office. I sit on the other side of her because this is going to change a lot of lives. And with a smile on her face, she says, I regret to inform you that you do not qualify. Because I could have been had my foot in LAW. But that, with a smile on her face, made God himself strike me down if I'm telling a lie. I gathered up my tears, gathered up all my stuff, and I laughed. I imagine she had a good day that day. This type of stuff shapes and molds individuals. And it makes the system worse when you don't have the right people. And even worse when you feel like you have the right people because of their credentials. And then that turned out to be all the wrong, because the people that should have been there didn't even get their foot in the door. Generational hex. So I want individuals to share the life, and I want individuals to understand when people get put in these positions to help individuals out of poverty. This is the type of stuff that was on a big scale there, because I was in my young 20s there. Did I feel some kind of way about Anglo-Saxon women after that? Yes, I did. I said, I won't get a job if I ever go before them. But every time, except for when I went for that marketing one, because I wasn't qualified for it. I told y'all about it. We laughed. I connected with him because of his football team. He had it on his, he had it like a little picture in his office. So I said, I'm not going to get the job anyway. I know I'm not qualified for it, but, let me make him laugh. That was the only time that I didn't get the job. I didn't look the part, first of all. When you're in marketing, you have to look the part. When you are the person that they send out to present their company, you have to look the part. But I figured, hey, I've never applied for this type of position. Let me just see. Generational heads. There is an energy that comes over a lot of people, and I have to address it because I'm hoping to eradicate it by addressing it. When they get ready to fill out an application, there is things, energy, that does not want you to even apply for a job. And when you start reading the qualifications and you get to BA, AA, and you say, well, I'm not going to get the job. I don't have this. Of course you're not if they require a BA, but sometimes it's just an application for Mickey D's. There's stuff in the air that is a deterrent outside of the people that have their foot on your neck. I'm talking about solutions. What she used in order to be able to disqualify me was wording. Due to this, you do not qualify. Because at that point, she has to slash more people from the program. And that's what she did. But it was the condescending smile that she had while doing her job. Like she was happy to disqualify me. And I could have been a paralegal. That's the point. So you all understand that is the best foot in the door, because you know how long it takes to become a lawyer and attorney. A lot of people get their foot in the door by knowing someone, going through a program first. Then they'll say, we like you. We're going to send you to further your education. Y'all do understand that, right? Let me tell you, we took a field trip to this this attorney's office. It was downtown San Francisco. I imagine his company is a major company now. Just by where he was at, you know. This is how young people get their foot in the door. This is how they stay out of trouble. This is how they become high earners. I had a thought, right, that nothing that talks about saving money, basically, I'm just going to touch that, applies to people that are low income. When you, first of all, the variable is you have to make enough money to save it, because even that is worded in some of these systems that they need to learn how to effectively save money. They need to budget. First of all, I don't even got enough money to make a budget. And you're talking about saving, and then I gotta live. I don't live with my parents. I don't have a subsidy. I don't have a project. I don't have no handout. When you start seeing stuff on the internet as, save 30% of your paycheck, that is for high earners. That is for people that make $80,000 or more a year. So it's like, I'm looking for solutions, y'all. It's got to be others that are looking for solutions. It hurt me when I went to the same with after I graduated the medical program. I did my externship. I told y'all about that. I did my externship, nice orthopedic clinic. This doctor had a clinic on Van Ness in a suite. The girl, she was a young Asian American, meaning that she was Asian and American. and possibly a little bit of Hispanic too. That's the one that said will wear no underwear to work. She says, with a smile on her face, up until your, like, up until up until you came in here, we would hire everyone that would graduate from this program because she graduated from the program. Imagine that. She graduated from the program, and now it's her turn to interview someone that graduated from the same program, and she just decided that she's not going to do it anymore. This was a doctor that would buy all of his employees lunch on Friday. This is what bring roses for all the women. This is the type of stuff that you are exposed to when you're around rich and wealthy individuals that have corporations and businesses and sole proprietors, doctors, lawyers, and attorneys. This is the stuff that they do. We're going to have lunch at Boudin's. They're going to cater. Who don't want a life like that? You all have to understand that I doubt very seriously that there's any in place for anyone to ever encounter those experiences now in the system. I was actually in a attorney's office. That's big, and not because I was in trouble. Do you know how many people only encounter attorneys and lawyers when they're in trouble? I'm looking for solutions. I know it's so many that want to clip it and sensationalize it and do all this, but I'm going to make it to where you can't clip it. Because everyone needs to hear this in their entirety. Because I tell a story, and it's a reason why I'm telling it. I have been around people that are fearful of being deported. I knew a woman that said, my children were born here. There is a possibility that I'll be separated from my children. Because there's something else in place to cut that. And everybody's saying, oh, wow, he's doing this and he's doing that without looking at the variables. Because people are being separated that do end up back there, right? Without their children.